dry January. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just do it. Don't tell me about it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't.
If I offer you a drink, just say no thanks.
Don't tell me about your life.
I'm serious.
That's not my burden.
I don't care.
That's not my cross to bear.
I don't care. I mean, maybe if you're really a close friend, we can talk about it. But.
That's actually something I think a lot of, as a lot of alcoholics like myself could appreciate, is that tends to be the opposite, where people push. And they're like, why? No, why can't just
That's
one
true.
drink? Wow, why aren't you drink? Why?
Yeah.
Whereas you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
This is
no problem.
That's actually ideal.
No
one's going to bug you about
if
it.
Someone says no to a drink, I have zero follow-ups.
Well, also, too, I'm at that point now where I'm like, not to be too presumptuous or negative, a lot of people that say they don't want to drink, I'm like, yeah, it's either...
There's good reasons.
I'm sure there's a reason. Maybe maybe a history. At this point, a lot of us around our age, we're getting more and more.
I mean, at best, you're
sober.
talking about like kind of fucking up somebody's morning at work. At best, and at worst, it's relapse.
Right?
Let's be careful with how we. I understand just abstaining for a bit because it's like I need to heal.
Fine.
Like it's totally.
But don't virtue signal your dryness to us, okay? With your dry January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Chelsea.
Oh, hey, Victoria.
Do you know what I need?
What?
A breath of fresh movie.
Oh man, me too.
That's a movie I like to see.
Welcome to Breath of Fresh Movie.
Welcome to the Breath of Fresh Movie.
I guess we already did. Oh wait, no, yeah,
we did it. But you know what? Well,
so nice they did it twice
for safety.
Yeah,
this is a weekly music. No, it's not. Wow.
We can sing.
It's a weekly movie podcast.
All right.
Where me, Victoria Harley.
Me, Chelsea Pope. I don't know why I was literally about to just say, and me, Victoria.
We watch a movie that neither one of us has ever seen before, and then we talk about it.
Yes. And so that with spoilers ahoy, because we kind of...
We won't talk about
we won't talk about everything. We're going to say it together.
All right.
But we will talk about anything.
We talk about movies behind their back.
It's true.
Yeah.
Spoilers ahoy. I want a shirt that says spoilers ahoy.
Spoilers
on
ahoy.
On a shirt, but like the Chips Ahoy
Ooh.
logo, but it says spoilers ahoy.
Okay, I'm going to write that down.
And that's like, we should have that and be like a sticker or something. Literally just the Chips Ahoy thing, but spoilers ahoy. I mean, Scotty would do it. Probably, you just find the font and then you erase the thing.
Okay. Yeah, that reminds me, George Sanders impression contest. If you are listening now, it's too late.
It's too late.
Door closed. You should have gotten in
you
on
lose.
It. And we'll
good day, sir.
And we will be playing those soon.
Classic George Sanders.
Yeah.
Classic George Sanders.
So now pour yourself a whiskey. Today's movie. Or today's episode. I never know if I should say today's episode or today's movie. I always get hung up on that.
There's something, it is today's episode, I think is probably more
today's
correct.
Episode.
But I like that today's movie feels very like we're introing like Turner Classic Movies.
I know.
Or like dinner in a movie.
Someone
posted about that recently.
Dinner
in a movie. They posted like a poster of it.
I was just talking to Mike about that. I saw that very post. And oh my God, I hated them so much.
Really?
The
people specifically. I always love that conceit. The same with Joe Bob and stuff, where they watch it with you and then in between are like checking in.
I wouldn't mind, except it just felt like it makes the movie longer, and the stuff they were doing wasn't funny to me.
Yeah, their bits could have been better scripted, or they just maybe had better improvised.
Too many of them. Like, Elvira would do those kinds of intros, but it was too like a really bad movie. So you're kind of fine with like.
As Joe Bob, similarly, it's usually very bad horror movie, right?
Yeah,
so there is that angle.
But dinner in a movie, it'd be like a vastly funnier product is being interrupted by this inferior product.
Yeah, they'd be like, now we're making popcorn with M&Ms
and it had that like MTV camera work and lighting.
Exactly. It felt very like they were kind of trying to get that sort of almost G4 like Attack of the Show vibe. It was like, initially about video games, but also now we're doing a bunch of bits. We're eating hot dogs from the ceiling.
That said, I would totally be interested in hosting dinner in a movie as the reboot.
No, I'm saying I think there's a world where it works. Or
there is. And I gotta say also, in researching when we did Lord, I decided to, like The Secret, put it out there and make a life goal that I want to host a segment on Turner Classic Movies.
That's that when it's today's movie.
I want to do that. So I'm just preparing people. I'm preparing us.
Who would be more qualified?
A lot of people, actually.
Well, why not you?
No, because I was watching this one that it was the intro for Lord, and I was like, oh my God, this guy is so boring, and he was, and the set was very just on the nose because he was like the noir host, and I'm not trashing him because the guy knows his shit. Like when I looked him up, I'm like, oh, that's why he's the host. Yeah, he really deserves
but
it.
Just because you're scholarly and you know your shit, there's that there's another muscle to have the charisma. And
exactly,
engagement.
It's like, where's the showmanship?
Yeah,
like
whatever happened to showmanship before the Turner Classic Movies?
I'm just saying it goes a long way.
Yeah, I guess that's something.
Anyway, we've drifted.
Just like the movie.
Just like the movie.
Just like the movie.
Just like today's movie.
Thematically relevant.
Today's movie is the 1994 Wong Kar-wai film Chungking Express, a genre-blending mood piece. That's the nicest thing I can say about it. At the risk of getting my cinephile membership card revoked, I was not a fan of this one. I just want to say at the top.
That's okay. I respect
Did not love.
No, look, I outed myself as finding Space Odyssey mid. You know what I'm saying? You're not.
Fair.
They're coming for both of us now.
Yeah,
they're coming for both of us.
That's it.
The moody men.
There'll be a knock at the door one night, and be dragged into the street.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I mean, no, I think in spite of how much praise it's had, I would say yes, this is something worth checking out. No, I don't think this is a thing you should worry about us spoiling because if you're somebody who's like that caught up in like vibes, romance, XYZ, personally, I'd tell you to watch Eternal Sunshine or Her instead. But if you already have seen that stuff and you mostly like both of those movies for vibes, then I would let yourself discover the vibes in this, I guess, fresh before you listen to two cynical people sort of like.
I think that's fair.
Not fully vibe with it themselves.
No, that's
was that really articulate? I said vibe like 8 times.
I think it's an apt comparison to Eternal Sunshine thematically.
I love that moody like romance crush chasing. I love Amelie. I love that shit.
Yeah, the most interesting thing about the first story to me was this whole expiration idea. Mm-hmm. And that the pineapples that he's buying, he only wants a certain expiration date, and it's this day in his mind that he's decided the relationship's officially over. That she left a full month has gone by.
Yeah, this is the first half, which is like
story
the first
A.
story. Story A. So it's sort of almost
it's an
like
action.
An anthology type of movie.
Yeah, and the first story is almost like an action movie because we have this woman running around like who's a drug runner.
Yeah.
And like she's got on this wig and these sunglasses.
It has that noir type thing. I think I was intrigued, right? And draws you in quickly with the camera work, with the blurry and and the palette. The music is vibey and jazzy. You see this woman in the trench coat with the red lips and the blonde wig, and you're like,
look.
What's she doing?
I mean, this woman is mysterious as fuck. I'm shit.
So I'm thinking, we're maybe slowly building into something. But then that story.
That is a good look. Like, I don't even want to say like good Halloween costume idea. I just want to say no. Just do that look.
It's
like
just
she had like a little bit of like Saint Vincent, what she's doing right now.
I love that. There's something that's very like
it has 70s.
Noir drag.
Yeah,
I like that.
And apparently,
I want that wig.
Apparently, that was also very functional to the filming because a lot of this was filmed basically stolen shots. So, for her to be able to quickly just put on a wig and sunglasses meant they didn't have to worry about hair and makeup.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's genius.
No, it's smart. Good for her.
Good for her. So this is a story that has two stories. Two police officers who frequent the same takeout stand. They both nurse heartbreak over lost relationships. That's like the best summation I could muster or find.
Yeah, then once you start getting any deeper into it and you're just trying to describe the dots on a Monet painting at that point.
Yeah, it's very true.
With this movie, it's a very impressionistic type of movie, not just visually, but just even in storytelling. It's more about the vibes than any sort of like
plot.
Yeah, there's loose plot, but it's not really
plot in the sense of it's life. it's like life moving forward. And that's not like when I say like, oh, it's lacking plot, that's not like a punchline, you know? I mean, Wong Kar-wai is known for creating these moody, atmospheric pieces. You know, he often comes without like a finished script, and it's a lot of takes, and it can be very exhausting for the actors.
Jazz.
Yeah, let's play jazz. It's exhausting, but the results he gets are great.
I think there's a reason this movie has captivated so many people.
I totally get it.
If you marinate in because I'm kind of on the same page as you, where I'm like, there's that push pull of me appreciating the work for what it is.
There's a lot of cool
but it's
details.
Just not quite my tempo.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of the whole point of why we do this show is exploration, and, you know, to go into something without a preconceived notion.
Yeah.
To try to just try it with an open heart.
And that is all the more reason, if you haven't seen it,
do that.
You know, don't let us rain on your parade.
No.
Because there is a lot to love. There's a reason so many people love it.
And I think if I saw this when I was in high school, I would think it was like the coolest most romantic shit. Thing. I would want a pixie haircut.
Yeah.
As I like mat my hair down. I need a haircut so bad.
Dude, I feel you.
It has like a lot of vibes, and it has action, and but it's very, I don't know, Janet Maslin, I didn't read her full review, but I know that one of the phrases that she used in her critique was like, it was very MTV-like.
Yes, it's very MTV colorful style. It's a long music video.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
It's a long, moody 90s
songs.
music video. Yeah, it's two very long.
California Dreamin'.
And yes, oh my gosh.
And then
I already don't like that song.
Dream by the Cranberries. But
I don't like the Cranberries, and so thankfully it was a cover.
You know who did the cover? Faye Wong.
Yeah, rereading the wiki earlier. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, the Cantonese version of Dreams. Yeah, I don't like California Dreamin'. That's like,
that song is
of all the Mamas and the Papas songs, just let that one go.
It's such a droning song. But if you like that song, you will love this movie. I'll say that. So this movie, again, it's a specific flavor thing where that song also is just like kind of a grating, you know, it's very sort of like a
and she's cranking it.
Thing.
She is cranking,
and it's got
so many and it's got that flute solo in it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like, you know? I know, like, why I think it's fitting that song is so heavily utilized, because I think similarly, a song that a lot of people love, you know, because for its mood and the jazziness of it, and I'm like, well, it's just not my taste.
It's a choice, and I have, not to get hung up on it, what was the licensing deal?
Yeah.
Did you pay for it once, or did you have to pay for it every time? Or
I wonder if it's because it is whatever the fee was. They're like, well, we gotta get
our money's worth.
Fucking money's worth. And then the cover too. I'm wondering. I'm like, oh, we just don't want to pay for the Cranberries.
Yeah, I think maybe it was like, well, we'll just cast the woman who sings it.
Yeah, they're the Cranberries. They're really trying to dry us out here. So.
I know. I mean, well, some people have. One person at least had claimed that this movie introduced dream pop to Hong Kong. So that's kind of, you know, interesting that like maybe it's more of a road out of something than a road into something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought there was one shot near the beginning that I really loved, which was just, he really hones in on the jukebox discs as they're turning. And it's like that prism of light, you know, and it's all rainbowy. I don't know. There's just something about the holding there that, I don't know, it speaks to like a love of music, but then also just the first time I ever saw a CD as a kid, I remember being like so...
The aesthetic of it.
Yeah, like,
it's kind of
my God.
rainbowy.
And it was reflective. I could see myself.
Yeah, and the light of... Yeah,
it was so wild. Yeah. Like, and there was something about the pleasure of the materials.
It's interesting. I've not heard, you know, you hear people talk about that with vinyl, or, you know, I've heard even with like a VHS tape, there's something with the texture of it, you know?
Well, there's no texture to a CD.
But it's interesting to hear you talking about like the material of it.
It's just
and
that
how,
I grew up
transfixing it is.
Yeah, I mean, visually. I mean, in fact, like, right, don't you see them now, like old AOL installation discs?
Right.
They're used to scare off birds, because you can like hang them and they reflect light and they spin around. Like,
I bet that'd be a beautiful...
There are like trees loaded with these things, like intentionally. I've seen it.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're just ornaments now.
Yeah, I would say, speaking of aesthetics, this movie is all that and vibes, and essentially this whole movie, you could pause it at any point and that screenshot would be like a viral Tumblr post.
Yeah.
You know, every single moment when he's talking to the napkin, when he's eating the pineapple, or the different guys, you know.
Yeah. The Garfield.
The
thing.
Garfield, any gif of the girl dancing or pouring the fish or whatever. It's like this whole thing is just mood and vibes.
It is a lot of mood and vibes.
It's a bunch of gifs and screenshots.
I also felt like it was like an ad for Coca-Cola.
Yeah, really?
There was so much, like, because they're at the takeout, like, he's constantly drinking out of, like, those, and it made me actually kind of miss those branded
Well, they
Coke
had to pay
cups.
for the mamas and the papas.
I know, they got the brand. Well, that and Del Monte for all those pineapples. I was like, all right, so we got two pretty strong product placements here.
It's true.
No disrespect. Again, that theme of expiration I thought was interesting. Also, when I'm just tossing out things that stood out to me.
Yeah.
In the first story, at one point, he realizes, like, oh, she's not coming back. And he starts calling up old classmates.
Yeah.
From a payphone. And it's just so funny because it's like that exact behavior still exists now.
Yeah.
It's just Facebook or whatever people are using. It's so funny to think that the same intention was always there, though. It's like, it's just people will do whatever on a hunch if you're drunk enough. And you know, I don't know, there was something really sad about that, and she just hangs up on him, I think, right? Like, like, what the hell.
But that is still a thing we do.
It is.
You got the sliding into DMs.
Oh, it reminded me a little bit of that.
Hey, sorry, I blocked you.
Yeah.
Do you miss me?
God. I mean, I'm thinking about the that Nathan For You, what was it, the Searching for Francis.
Which one is that one?
That was like the very last episode of Nathan For You. That was like an hour and a half long, where he and the old man, who was the Bill Gates impersonator, go looking for the love of his life.
Oh yes. Oh, of course. Yes, I do remember.
Yeah,
it is very
This
emotional.
reminds me slightly of that in a way, like, or this behavior.
Yes.
You know, that people come out of the woodwork at different times when they're in their crises.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just be suspicious of people who you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm very distrusting.
You never know.
I also thought the first cop, like when he then meets this woman that we've referred to with the wig and the sunglasses and the trench, and who's got massively more complex problems than this guy can even imagine for her.
Right.
He's just like, oh, you look sad. Mm-hmm. Are you heartbroken?
The irony, he's so what he's dealing with versus her. Just she's running and shooting.
She's like, no, I have to kill someone later. Like, can I just sit here and have a drink?
I was confused. I thought she was May at first because you don't see them interact for a while. So I'm wondering if he's thinking about May, and then we're watching maybe through his mind's eye how he's perceiving time passing for her. He's imagining the justification for why she hasn't reached out since dumping him. Like, oh, well, actually, it's because I'm being chased by the government and I'm just drugs and this and that. Like, I could see that being him just imagining, like, filling in the blanks. But that's not what it was. No. And I was actually honestly a little disappointed when I was wrong. I was like, my story's better. My story better.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. No. I did think that scene, though, in the bar where they're together, she was just so good at saying no.
Yeah.
What a good lesson in just saying no to people.
Right.
I noticed too that she had Manola Blahniks. Like,
she was.
You saw like a little label action at one point. Like, you see the shoes kicked off, and I was just like, I'm not a label whore, but I know. No,
but we've all watched Sex in the City. Not my Manola Blahniks when she's getting mugged. She's like, no.
Also, like I've spent $100,000 on shoes.
Yeah,
I have nowhere to live.
It's only $40,000.
Yeah, and I will literally be the old woman who lived in her shoes. Was a good line. That was a good line.
It's so good.
The second story,
I think we covered the. Oh, I will say with the first one thematically, a thing I liked was just the May never comes back. No. We never see May. We never meet her. She's not the lady in the wig. He's all this with the pineapple. May 1st. His birthday's also May 1st. And like the pineapples expire. I feel like it reminded me of that desperate feeling of when I've been dumped or rejected, and I'm I haven't heard from a guy or that or whatever, and I'm thinking like I'm suddenly looking up our zodiac compatibility. I'm suddenly trying to draw these parallels and like, oh, if the retrograde's coming, maybe he'll text, or it's like just crazy shit like that. That you're trying to find these connections and parallels that are actually meaningless, but you infuse them with that poetic meaning. He's eating fucking canned pineapple, and it's making him sick because he
ate nothing but canned pineapple.
Yeah, he's making himself sick from this. Yeah, like this purposeful, like, projected poetry.
Yeah.
You know?
No, he created this very specific kind of spell for himself.
I actually did really, that is something I can in hindsight appreciate, but it doesn't, and again, it's not, I wasn't like, you know, jumping out of my seat with this movie, but I do like that kind of stuff.
I had a hard time staying in my seat for this one. I kept getting distracted. And I also, by the way, I'm not ashamed to admit this. Please I thought this movie happened on a train. Because it was.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I swear to God, I thought it was a train too.
Waiting,
or that they were at a train station.
I know.
Or something.
I was like, okay, when are we getting on the train? And then we switched stories, and I'm like, I guess we're never getting on a train.
I guess maybe Chungking Express is like we're supposed to. The visual experience is we're on a train.
I actually have an explanation. For it,
okay, cool.
It's not very great.
I would like to hear it.
All it is just okay. So this was filmed in a place called the Chungking Mansions, which we'll talk about a little more because it is an interesting location. And then the restaurant or the takeout place is called the Midnight Express.
Gotcha.
So he just smashed Express and Chungking.
I mean, it makes the title distinct because Midnight Express or just Chungking would have neither of those would have. Well, really,
and then it's funny that the
peanut butter and jelly
that the restaurant's called the Midnight Express because isn't the Midnight Express also like a really horrific movie about like look up Midnight Express.
Midnight Express.
Get on that because I could be way off, but I'm pretty sure there's a dark ass movie called that. So I think it's funny that there's a takeout place in this movie. I'm sure it's not named for that.
It is a 1978 prison drama film directed by Alan Parker. Okay, let's see. Film centers on Hayes, a young American student sent to a Turkish prison. For trying to smuggle hashish out of the country. Okay. I wonder if that's like supposed to be some sort of thematic Easter egg in the name of that place, or if that's literally just the name of that eatery. I think it's
just like
in real life or something.
I think it's just. I mean, like that's the thing. So the Chungking Mansions and this district and this area. So this all happened like in the central business district of Hong Kong. And then there's this district called the Lan Kwai Fong, which is a small squared streets, which used to be kind of just like a little marketplace. In the 80s, it was revitalized and is, you know, dining, drinking, dancing, clubbing, that kind of thing. And also a lot of expats hang out there. So that's why we see that, you know, we see people speaking English. Like we see a lot of different types of people. And in that first story, you know, he's trying all those different languages with her. Mm-hmm. And Chungking Mansions, I guess, was supposed to be a large residential building, but it kind of became this mixed use place with lots of hostels and markets. So it's this labyrinth-like setting, and it's really wild. And in fact, the DP had to he moved in a month ahead of shooting.
It's really cool. Yeah. He must have had to have gotten familiar with the space because there are these like kind of tracking shots, and like when he's trying to find the girl in his apartment or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it tracks out to the window after he leaves, and then you see him on the street, and then there's and also too just the way that the texture of that, like we're in a little apartment, but there's like, it feels like there's just some expressway like right in the middle there.
Yeah.
It's like this sort of, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of romanticized that a little bit. There's like a part of me that would love to have kind of a textured space like that to live in.
Yeah. I mean, I think being in America where the emphasis is often so much on space, right? That like, unless you live in, you know, New York, then, I mean, the still emphasis is on space, but you're paying a much higher price for it. But one of the things that is so cool, I think, about older cities, particularly ones in Asia, are those districts that are just pedestrian only, and it's a large area.
I really like that. I think and it's part, and it serves the story. It's about the proximity, the physical and emotional proximity and space.
Distance is in space.
Yeah,
it's
so it's symbolic, and it makes me think: is Midnight Express like a secret symbol? Is it an Easter egg? I don't know.
Well,
stuff like that.
One of the things that I guess that place, there's a lot of takeout places like that, I guess, in that area, and open very late.
It's just a Midnight Express. It's a lot of quick food late at night.
And people fairly respectable people, like men in business suits and stuff, would sometimes late at night come down there because it's like it's a place to get something to eat, you know? So it really is this interesting marketplace slash
It gives a little bit of like Blade Runner, but less dystopian vibes because of that, you know.
It has that, definitely.
You could get that vibe of just getting some ramen late at night and like people watching immediately, like right on the street.
I mean, I'm spoiled because the problem is the first Wong Kar-wai film I ever saw was In the Mood for Love, which is, I mean, most people regard it as his best. I mean, sure, that's debatable, but it's unfair, you know? I mean, I should have started.
Well, it's, I mean, it's tough. Because it is his most, it's his most iconic. It's the one that, you know, and but it also does things that, like, I kind of went into Chungking Express kind of hoping would also be the case, but this very much feels more like just shorter anthology anecdote things as opposed to In the Mood for Love. It's just these two people and we spend the whole movie like really close.
Yeah, and the moodiness of that and the music and the way they use slow motion felt very like almost
spacious
and almost, I mean, the way it like worked with the symphony under it, you know, it was so you felt like you were being carried through the movie. This is like you feel like you're kind of being jostled by the movie.
You're in a fast current. It is Chungking. And you're kind of like, wait, I don't know if I caught that thing. Like,
express is a good word to be in the title. You know, this was shot in 6 weeks.
Well, they were probably all feeling that madcap.
Pretty much no permits. They're basically just stealing all these shots. Wong Kar-wai was filming this, he was on a 2-month break from editing like another movie. And this was kind of like that little pickup project that you do that turns out to be like as good or fun. And
that's funny to like, he's like on a 2-month break. Oh, we can squeeze in another movie. I'd be farting around.
I know.
Like, break time.
I would be sleeping late. Yeah, that's what I would do.
That's just enough time to make one of the greatest films of all time.
There's a couple other locations. The central mid-level escalators, which I guess it's this massive. Well, I mean, we saw them.
I love escalators like on screen. I love stairs and escalators.
Well, he does too because he was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do there. I just know I wanted it in the movie. Again, that's kind of how he works. It's very instinctual. The vibe, the mood. And you know, I gotta say, sometimes, I mean, the challenge of sitting down and writing a screenplay, sometimes it does feel like I have like a blindfold on, you know, like the movie's visual, like I can't do it here, you know, like I need pictures. Anyway.
No, I agree.
Thank you. Jillian, big star in Hong Kong. She was definitely going to raise people's attention, you know, running around this place.
Interestingly, this looks like this was one of her last movie, or like, well, no, actually she has been doing other stuff since, but this is towards the tail end of her film career. She seemed like she had a kind of weariness about her.
I mean that in a good way.
I like all the choices. It's just not my favorite viewing experience.
And then we have this second story, which we still haven't really gotten into, which is the manic pixie dream girl moment. Like this character.
Oh yeah, with Faye.
Yeah.
Faye. It's a little bit. She was a bit. I don't know. No, this is gonna sound messed up, but like, you know, like this is part of the joke of like people who make fun of Manic Pixie Dream Girls. You're like, and they make Arrested Development already did it. Like, is she special needs? Like, is this like
right?
You know, oh, she's so quirky, but like, is she literally
is there something wrong?
A little touched because they're just some of the things just felt. That she was doing. It's like, well, it's a good thing he was into it because that's fucking freaky.
I mean,
that's a good thing he likes it.
She's like going into his apartment when he's not there and rolling around in his stuff.
She's and I guess, and I had to read this after the fact because this wasn't clear to me that she was trying to. I thought she was just jealous that he had been with another lady.
No, she was trying to get close to him.
She was like apparently trying to help him in an Amelie-esque way. But I'm like, I don't know. Amelie. She was like, because she's a pre-Amelie, being like, oh, I'm going to give him more fish. I'm going to hide that girl's flip-flops. I'm going to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there were all kinds of things going on there. Cleaning things up. Like, she replaced a bar of soap. And I was kind of like, dude, how do you not notice some of this shit? Like, you know.
Yeah, well, I think doesn't he make a comment about the soap?
Maybe he does.
Because he talks to all these inanimate objects. You wouldn't know a fucking thing about him if he didn't.
Yeah, that's another.
I was surprised that the first guy wasn't talking to the pineapple. Yeah. This guy's talking to everything. He's talking to Garfield. He's talking to the soap bar. I think he says something about like, oh, did you get bigger? Or like the weight. the weight of it. Like, are you done?
You know, even the scene with the woman who leaves him, who's a stewardess, it's like, even that scene, I'm just, okay, so they're sort of rolling around in their underwear. It's hot out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just was like, I didn't fall for anybody in this. And like Tony Leung's beautiful, but this character,
I mean, this movie had, it like, it hits you or it don't.
Yeah.
Don't despair if it doesn't, because there are there's apparently a sequel to this, and you also have, of course, In the Mood for Love. It's not, something will capture you.
And there are many good Wong Kar-wai films, and I still think this is one of them. For me,
not your flavor.
It didn't water my plants.
Yeah, it didn't water my plants.
I don't know what to say.
It didn't butter my biscuit.
And one of the things we've talked about, you and me, offline, was sort of the it's like, it's about two cops,
Yeah.
Two cops.
That I wanted to share.
Did you find out?
I wanted to share one of the Letterboxd reviews. It's just, Letterboxd is just Twitter.
Well, while you're looking that up, I do want to mention that part of the reason why the characters are cops,
there's significance to this.
No, not really.
No
significance. Like the significant. Well, I mean, significance in terms of outside the movie. It's much easier to get funding for a movie when you have a very simple and easy answer to the question, "What is the movie about?"
Yeah.
And he's like, he can't say it's about this town. It's about Hong Kong. It's about.
I almost think it almost takes away and would have served better if they had just both had different random traits, because the other women do. Like, it's
I agree.
I don't know. They all can just
there would have been other things, but
the only thing that good-looking men, like, the only reason for them is cop.
I know, but I guess it was a way to get more funding for the film. So,
yeah, well, then there you go. That's practical.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't so much a like cops are so great as it was just we'll get more money if we just say it's a cop movie.
Yeah. It's like, imagine thinking you're gonna watch a cop movie.
I know. I suppose technically you could call this that. Anyway, you said you had a review.
I was just gonna say a funny review that worked for me. This is Yaz on Letterboxd. They liked it, and it's 4.5 stars, but they said, "Bitches be like a cab, then rate Chungking Express 4.5 stars," which is what she rated it.
So true.
I liked that. I just thought that was funny.
No, I like that self-awareness.
Because it's really not a cop movie.
It's not.
No. They could have literally had any other. They could have been ad men. They could have been.
They could have been. I do think the first story, there was a kind of nice irony about the fact.
Oh, the fact that he's a cop and she's a criminal.
She has no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Like, he's
I think that's valid. I think
but
maybe
that could
the
be
other
achieved
one,
in another way. Like,
the other one's funny to me because it's like he's a cop, but like he's letting his place get broken. Like, he's not a very good cop.
Neither of them are. Yeah.
I don't know. He's not. Neither of these guys are very good cops. They're not really doing their jobs.
No, they're not.
Get back to work. Where's all that police budget money going anyway?
Billions.
I
do want to mention a couple of things, and we can get back to the
No,
reviews.
that's fine. Please keep going.
Because these two stories thematically have these little differences, and the first movie's like a cop crime drama, and then the second one's like a weird sort of quirky rom-com.
Yeah.
The time frames are different. The cop crime drama is very much in the present, and it's taking place in a very short amount of time, whereas like the rom-com, the story actually begins before the movie starts.
Yeah.
And then there's this other visual cue, which, we talked about you mentioned like the way the visuals, the zooming, swirliness. I had to learn, I was like, okay, how are they doing that? What is this technique?
Yeah.
And it's step printing, which is it's two things, step printing and undercranking. But step printing is when you take like frame number 1 and you print it twice. Frame number 2, print it twice. But then you're also, those frames were recorded at a lower frame rate. So
it's very visually appealing.
Oh yeah, but
and then
he does that for the two of them, but they're in the mess.
Yeah.
Whereas in the second one, we still see both those techniques, but both the characters are out of sync with it.
Yeah,
like they're not on the same timeline.
Yeah,
except they're on each other's timeline. So like there are these visual coded things going on, but I also think it's funny because literally there were 2 different DPs who did the 2 different parts. And although
they're like 2 different
it's like 2
segments.
different movies.
I could see Chungking being like a mini series or a limited series, like anthology series,
like an Irma Vep situation.
Yeah, I could see it where it's like every episode has a different type of focus, and it's all like,
I think you just got greenlit.
If they did, if they wanted, well, if they're going to adapt something like Irma Vep, they can clearly do the same.
Oh, come on, yeah.
With this, I'm actually surprised this isn't something they considered like doing as a limited series, and then they can add more episodes.
Take it over to Showtime. Be like, listen, HBO's got Irma Vep. You can have Chungking Express.
HBO be sleeping.
They sleeping on.
They're not exactly financially. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just
everything's a mess right now.
They said they greenlit me as an HBO Max show. I was like, well, that's I don't trust that.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah,
I don't trust anything they sell you. But yeah, and this did have a limited North American release because basically Quentin Tarantino's friends with Wong Kar-wai and was, I want to make sure people see this. So
that's cool.
Which is cool.
That's cool.
You know, other movies would be nice to see too.
Yeah, like I mean, it's but they're friends.
They're friends.
That's his friend.
They're friends. Okay, you have reviews.
Oh, that was one of my favorite ones right away, and then
love it.
Iana 5 stars. Sometimes I feel like a can of expired pineapples. That was all they put. Yeah, not everybody liked it. There's Karsten Rundquist, if I'm saying his name right. I really enjoy his YouTubes and whatnot, and his Letterboxd. He gave it 3, and I feel like it's about where I feel like there's I don't know, I'm projecting here, but it seems to imply that like he appreciated it, what it is, and he says, I wanted to like it so badly, but I didn't care about anything that was happening.
Yeah.
You are kind of just the whiplash, like you're getting jostled.
Yeah.
And then this Iana actually said, but hers is positive. The emotional whiplash I get from falling in love with every character in this film. You either like get in, you're either in with the current or against the current the whole time. And
you either empathize immediately or you just can't at all.
Yeah, like it's very Tumblr girl friendly, this movie.
Yeah.
So let's see. Like some people get captivated with this, like this God, this person left how many reviews? This is the same person again. I keep finding these, like, the way Tony Leung looks at Faye Wong at the end makes me go fucking feral. I was like, I don't know. It didn't really do it for me. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, great. We won't be putting this on for you anytime soon.
So calm down. Giant Garfield plush appeared like a celebrity in a Disney Channel show.
Yeah.
4.5 stars from Clementine. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, wait. I wanted to do Robert Horton from Film Comment magazine. Splatter. What Chungking Express has are a couple of interesting situations which don't quite justify a feature-length movie.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Oh, I like this positive one from Washington Post. Desson Thompson said, it's the cinematic equivalent of popcorn on a hot stove with jump cut shots, freeze frames, stirringly beautiful images, and boundless energy. I'm like, yeah, that is true. It's got an 88%, 93% audience score.
Wow.
It's been very well received. I think the main thing, and I noticed
because there's a gun in it.
It's looking at the clips, the snippets they put in the Wikipedia reception, because they always are like they'll blur Roger Ebert and those main guys, or Peter Travers or whatever, and then that'll it's mostly positively received because the style, the way it's shot is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so distinct. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
There's very beautiful light. It's such a mood.
Yeah.
It's such a mood, and as long as you can, if you like that, you'll love this.
Yeah.
And if you're not into that, you'll notice there are reviewers who are like, that doesn't quite do it for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
some other movies that were in competition at the time, because it was out, Forrest Gump.
Yes. Oh, yeah. 1994.
Yeah.
That was a notorious year.
Paramount Pictures. From Warner Brothers, Natural Born Killers. Universal Time Cop. Clear and Present Danger, also from Paramount. Milk Money, another Paramount. The Mask from New Line.
Oh, it was a big year.
And True Lies.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
So lots of competition.
Yes.
Lots of competition. A little bit about our director, Wong Kar-wai. He was born July 17th, 1958 in Shanghai, China. He's the youngest of 3 siblings, the son of a sailor and a housewife. His family emigrated to British-ruled Hong Kong in the early 60s to avoid sort of the impending Chinese Cultural Revolution that was happening. The period of time where they started burning books and films and things like that. Not a great time. But his 2 older siblings were supposed to come over a month after them, but the borders closed. So he would not see his 2 siblings for 10 years.
Wow.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
And then, of course, now he's in this place where Cantonese is the language spoken. He's not fluent in it. So he really wasn't able to speak Cantonese fluently or communicate with people until his teens. So his childhood was incredibly lonely.
Yeah, that really comes through in the melancholy. And also, too, the way and rather infrequency of spoken lines as opposed to, like, in The Mood for Love, probably a short script on paper. There's a lot more just them, like,
it's so much improv.
I don't know, sniffing their shoulders.
Well, and a lot of things said over
voiceover.
Lots of voiceover.
Same with Chungking, where it's a lot of.
It's like it's in your ear.
Yeah, it's not a dialogue heavy thing.
I'm sure that if we had seen this in a theater, it would have been way more evocative, and probably way more powerful.
Maybe a little stoned in a theater.
Yeah. It feels like, it's like a drink you want to be on a tranquilizer for.
Yeah, it's got a little, if you get kind of.
Did I say a drink I want to be?
Yeah,
I meant a movie.
It's a drink you want to tranquilize yourself for. I've had those. Yeah. No, I get that. I get what you mean.
You know what I mean.
I know what the fuck you mean.
Anyway, lonely childhood. But he and his mother basically had the same problem. And they went to the movies a lot. And he talked about, like, cinema for him. He's like, oh, that's a universal language. Yeah. It's visual. It's, it might be in another language literally, but I can understand what's going on. And, the way he communicates his messages kind of operate under that logic.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just a really distinct style. And, like, you love it or you don't.
Yeah.
He went on... Grows up, goes to study graphic design at the Hong Kong Polytechnic. He works in apprentices for a TV network called TVB. He begins working as a screenwriter, largely uncredited, like a lot of small projects or supplementing other people's work. He said something like, I probably worked on like 50 different things uncredited. He finds a mentor in Patrick Tam, who was a Hong Kong New Wave director. Now, I'm not like deeply familiar with the Hong Kong New Wave, but generally speaking, it started in about 1979. Patrick Tam was one of the key filmmakers of that period. So Wong Kar-wai finds a distinct and powerful voice, to go and work for and with, and he helps him by writing the screenplay for his film, Final Victory. And it's after that, then he goes on to start writing and directing his own films.
Yeah.
And just a quick rundown of those. Beginning in 1988, he starts with As Tears Go By. Then there's Days of Being Wild in 1990. Chungking Express, Ashes of Time, both in 1994. Fallen Angels in 1995. Happy Together, which is a really good movie. I love that one.
Check that out.
That's in 97. That one's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend. In the Mood for Love in 2000. Fucking great. 2046, which in 2004, which is kind of like a successor to In the Mood for Love. Like, in a way, it's
right.
Like
they did do some sort of right.
There's a thread connecting.
The Chungking definitely feels like it's setting foundation.
Yeah.
For him to he's refining his craft.
Yeah,
and then you get In the Mood for Love, which is very like opus. So I don't know, it's like Reservoir Dogs versus Inglourious Basterds.
There you go.
If you like Tarantino, another thing, if you like it, you like it. You don't. You don't.
Exactly. And
it's just not everyone's cup of tea. But I'm sorry, I can't take away from either of those filmmakers' technical prowess.
No, I mean, these are both people who clearly were raised loving cinema and care about it.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of people who work in this business who don't seem to really care about cinema. I'm like,
no, exactly.
Why are you here?
They're some of the last auteurs, and in the sense that they want to.
They have distinct voices.
They want to share a distinct voice,
and they protect cinema. I mean, you don't have to love Tarantino, but I can always kind of get people on but he's a great preservationist.
Yes,
and he's done a lot of good work to make people remind people that cinema matters and it means something for it to be on film.
Yes.
Going
to the movies as ritual, there's something, it's it's such a push-pull thing, because obviously you have the pandemic, you have just a lot of modern moviegoers. I mean, people are being shitty in Broadway shows, and I'm like, well, of course no one's going to be respectful in a movie. So many people aren't.
And, we live in LA, so we have these wonderful boutique, cool, hip places. But
a lot of places don't have that.
No, I grew up in a place where we just had multiplexes. And believe me, I wouldn't want to go into a theater with a bunch of sick kids, or something to see a movie.
Yeah.
I totally get avoiding the theater.
There's multiple schools of thought, or there's separate visions and ideas of what the movie going to.
I don't mean to always
That's okay. You can say it. Fuck them kids.
I'm just saying, school is where a lot of transmission happens, and
Yeah, no, and you're in a dark theater. There's always people coughing and sniffling, and
God,
dude,
we're all
Every play too. So it's not to get too tangential.
Anyway, yeah. I'll just mention there are 2 other movies.
Yes.
My Blueberry Nights in 2007 and The Grandmaster in 2013. Which
Gotcha.
I have no memory of those being discussed.
I don't either. I think that's
on me.
No, it's on me too. But I think too, some of that stuff.
Yeah.
As great of a filmmaker as he is, it's that can fall under the radar, almost like Almodovar.
Yeah.
He's been so prolific, and yet it's kind of every once in a while one pops up, and you're just like, oh, where's he been? It's he literally made something. He makes something every year.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. And in the 90s in Hong Kong, they were producing 200 plus movies a year.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he's knocking them out he was just right there in the right time. And he has done a lot to keep Hong Kong cinema, keep it in the public eye, keep it in discussion. I think In the Mood for Love gave me an incredible window into another style of living in the 60s. And a lot of his films are really hung up on that era. Not all, but many, because again, that was the formative period for him, coming over from China, and having to acclimate now to a place where he doesn't speak the language. And, that's, as a child especially, it's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a lot.
I feel for him.
It's a lot.
He's also done plenty of music videos, which you could probably intuit from this movie.
Like what?
I didn't get a chance to write it
down.
No. I'm sorry.
I thought you were about to be he did this video.
I don't have any.
That's okay. No, but I'm not surprised at all that he did.
Just he did commercials, music videos, participated in anthologies. I'm sure he's done some other.
I don't know why I get the vibe that he would have done a Matchbox 20 music video, but I don't know if that's stupid.
There's
just images of the 90s that are prevalent in his work and lighting and composition. Well, I think about some of that, or an REM one.
I was just gonna say the Cocteau Twins or something. It would be something kind of cool and hip and dream poppy, But
absolutely.
Let's see.
Losing My Religion type of vibes, but it was not him. We're fully discrediting whoever it was.
I'm sorry.
He could have done it.
He could have. We had mentioned the fact that he's a filmmaker who often starts without a script and sort of relies on improvisation and instinct to sort of write in the moment. So that means no rehearsals, no storyboards, or any plans about where the camera's going to go, none of that. And I got to say, I would hate to work for somebody like that. I would be so frustrated all the fucking time.
Yeah.
But again, creative process is different for different.
Elaine May, we literally just talked about Ishtar.
I know. And so he's operating in a very similar way to Elaine May.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting how this guy has a career, but
I'm
still harping on that.
I get it.
I was telling Chelsea, dear listeners, that I watched Ishtar again and I loved it more the second time.
I wouldn't be opposed now to do a second viewing hearing that, because
it was once I knew where I was going, I'm like, oh, this is fun.
It's more, you can enjoy the bits more because you don't have to be so caught up in the story, because it gets in the way of the funny.
It does.
Trying all the heady plot stuff, the government, the infidels, wait, okay. It's communism, wait.
I know.
What about the guys?
Yeah, I think watching it a second time, I knew not to bother to pay attention. I knew not to try to figure anything out. Just focus on the two guys. And by doing that, it was God, they're so funny.
Yeah.
They're so goddamn funny. The songs are so funny.
This is also Ishtar Part 2 episode.
This is the Ishtar Part 2 episode.
Cool.
Anyway, we talked to death about his styles. We got it. Influences: Scorsese, Antonioni, Hitchcock, Bertolucci.
Bertolucci for sure.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Who is the best supporting player? Because they're all kind of supporting players.
Well, they're all main.
They're all mains.
The supporting
the four
characters.
mains are the four mains.
So of the supporting, I feel like I
literally wrote down the dad ?
The dad. He's one. That's one. I'd say maybe the giant Garfield.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. He's talking to inanimate objects, so I feel like their character. I like the napkin. I like the Deaf the fish.
The fish.
Deaf them fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, what? Who was supporting? Like, I was just trying.
I like
a bartender.
You know what? No,
that white guy.
I like just the guy who walked by when the first protagonist cop has all those expiring cans.
Yes.
And then he tries to offer them. And this guy's like, it's going to expire, you jerk. Like, throws it at him. That's great. That was a funny one.
That was
expired, jerk.
You asshole. You
asshole. What are you fucking trying to kill me?
I know.
Yeah.
I don't want botulism.
Yeah.
I like that it was too good for him. That was good.
That was funny.
I like that.
That's like reminds me of a Scary Movie when she's like, here's a sandwich. I said money, bitch.
Would you watch this again?
Like I think it could potentially be like something on in the background type of deal, but I also I don't think so then though, because I just really don't like California Dreamin'.
Yeah,
I like really don't like that. It depresses me. I don't like the vibe.
I don't like that song.
I also don't like that overcast weather type of feeling, and it felt kind of out of place for. I wanted something breezier, and then you have the Cranberries,
which is breezier, but
I also don't love the Cranberries.
I mean, that song, it's just everywhere.
But it also immediately made me think of You've Got Mail, and I was just like,
it evokes. I
don't know. It's like kind of
it evokes 90s. It evokes like 1994. Quite honestly,
yeah.
It just it's very 90s. But no
it's
disrespect
also,
to Cranberries fans.
I like the cover more. Like I think the way it sounds sung in another language is more palatable. But also their stuff. The lady in the Cranberries. Sorry to talk shit.
No, I know she passed away. Not that
long. Like, you know,
it's a style.
And then in your head. That's got to be one of my top 5 least favorite songs as well.
Why?
That's up there with California. Like California Dreamin' and the Cranberries are in my top 5 like least favorite.
That's fair. I mean, I don't understand.
So just kind of
Zombie inexplicably.
Zombie. That's the name of it.
It gets played. Like
so much.
People choose it for karaoke all the time.
Drives me crazy. It's a long song. It's very weird.
And they
depressing.
never know the words.
Yeah, they're staring at the screen really intense, and then they can't do that weird yodel thing that I don't even like that lady does. So in your head.
Yeah.
It's so bad. I remember like going to karaoke at the parlor, like over by Groundlings, and like one of the other, like it was people like stage management, whatever, like we'd go do that like once a week, working the Wednesday shift or whatever. It was a karaoke night, and then one of the other guys I was working with was starting to date this girl who's kind of moody and like awkward, and then she sang that song and just felt very like
date's over.
Like I don't know, like the rest of it, like I was singing everybody's doing like I like big butts and all this other stuff, and then this girl's like in your head.
She does a song about the troubles in Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
like, that's what that song is about.
Rain and sadness
with your guns and your guns.
And your guns and your guns. Oh my god, such an ironically awful.
I mean, it's not for karaoke. It's not for karaoke. Choose something fun.
Yeah.
Choose something fun. And then you know the damn words too.
Yeah.
Like I
just think like the farthest transgression of like karaoke like etiquette that I'll concede to is like what's that song? Oh fuck. Total Eclipse of the Heart has a really long instrumental break. It's a long song, but it's just at that line of like still like gets the mood going, because everybody loves the turn around bright every now and then I fall. You're like, okay, there's just enough heat in it that I can almost look past the fact that this is a greedy fucking person. When we're all putting in 2 to 3 minute songs, and this person's putting in a 6 minute or like a 5 minute song.
Yeah.
Greedy motherfucker.
It happens. I mean, there's like things you can choose.
But some songs are fine.
Yeah.
Some songs are worth the length. They're Bohemian Rhapsody, it's a longer song.
You need help with that though.
But yeah,
don't go up alone.
Well, you got to be hyping you need to be engaged with the crowd.
Yeah.
Or actually, it is really funny to imagine somebody who's very like, they will not let you go. Let me go. Like, he's like frozen with them. Nathan Fielder would be. He'd make all those songs.
He'd stand tall with it.
I would enjoy watching him sing California Dream. All the leaves are brown.
Dude's like ruling the world, diving in a swimming pool full of money right now.
Or no, he's probably drawing maps and Pepe Sylvia things for all the seasons 1 through 100 of the rehearsal.
No, he's probably working. Yeah, probably working. But yeah, enjoying that nice development deal on HBO, I think. Good for him.
Good for him.
Good for him. I love Nathan. I say it openly. I'm not
for sure. No,
not
he's
the only
great.
one. Everyone's thirsty for him now.
I mean, and also too, I'm gonna attempt to shoehorn a connection of the fact that I think that a lot of the vibes and existential dwellings and the desire for connection and loneliness and in the rehearsal, very relevant theme, like a crossover of themes. You could write a paper. I think you could write a 5-page MLA format, Jane Schaefer.
Oh my God, MLA
at paper.
I haven't heard those letters together that way in a long time.
You could impress your AP English teacher.
Yeah. I prefer Chicago style. Just like my hot dogs.
I never got just like my pizzas. No, I never did Chicago's. Everybody was always MLA.
Thank you for listening. Please, 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 please write us a review. Subscribe, tell your friends, all that shit.
Yeah, dude.
Do it.
Really
appreciate all your precious little earballs. Be safe. It's a new year.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be a new you though.
No. Don't ever change.
Don't change. We love you just the way you are.
Yay.
Bye.